Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Riley and this is my 2009 Honda Civic Si. This video is going to be cringe because this is my first video that I'm actually attempting to make since I was 10 years old. So I'm just going to do a little overview and share a little bit about my car. So my car has 305,865 kilometers on it. And as I said, it is a 2009 and it's basically bone stock. We're going to pop open the hood and I'll show you what's under there. Before I step out, I'm just going to mention, I'm not sure if anyone who's watching this knows, it's a 6-speed manual. Very nice. Transmission itself doesn't shift the greatest. Typical 8th gen Civic Si problems. My handbrake seizes when you use it, so I park the car in gear. I have no check engine lights or anything of that sort, but I'll show you under the hood. So under here we've just got a stock K20Z3. However, this is not the stock engine to the car. So the car went 304,988 kilometers with the original engine before I took it in for a timing chain replacement at my school, where, long story short, we had the engine sitting open and someone, who I still have no idea who, decided to sabotage my engine by dropping stuff into the cylinders. That other engine is right here. This is the state it's in currently. Tore it completely down. I'll show the rest of it later. But the engine I swapped in had 199,553 kilometers on it. Now it's got a little over 200,000 because I've put just under 1,000 kilometers on the car since putting this engine in here. So the car is stock aside from a engine short ram intake with a K&N cone filter on there from Canadian Tire. It's just a universal filter. The filter that came with this intake was completely destroyed and all the rubber was all dry rotted and stuff, so I replaced it with that filter. During the swap we ran into a few issues, but nothing we couldn't handle. We ripped a couple connectors on the wiring harness and I had to go to the junkyard for a few little things like that, but aside from that, everything went pretty smoothly. My car is a 4-door, and it's a 2009, so it's the facelift model. This is the FA5 chassis code. My back seats are absolutely disgusting because this was a family-owned car, and I've yet to carpet clean them, but there's also stains from slime and Play-Doh and all sorts of gross things on these seats, so I don't know how well they're going to clean up. This car was winter-driven, so it's got a decent amount of rust starting to form. It's in pretty good shape otherwise, like the rockers are all in pretty solid shape. The wheels have seen better days. They've all been curbed quite bad, and they are all starting to kind of peel the material off of them. This one has some sort of red scratch on it. So the rear end of the car, this car has been involved in a few accidents. The car was rear-ended quite hard on this corner here, and this tail light does not fit right ever since then. The bumper was replaced and then repainted because it did not match the original color to the car. I think it was a used bumper because it was dealt with outside of insurance. A new tail light was put in, and this corner was actually rebuilt with Bondo, which you can see is cracking and rusting through it. So I need to have that taken care of soon. Same with there. This trunk tail light was not replaced because it's still cracked from that happening. So that's what you get when you have a car repaired outside of insurance. Unfortunately, I did not own the car at the time, otherwise it would have been dealt with properly. I'm rambling here, but this bumper is all scuffed up there. This wheel as well is also worse on the other side, I think. This is how the rust looks over here. This car was also hit on this door and it was replaced by insurance 5 years ago. And it was a crappy replacement door because it's the only door on the car that's rotting out like this. Inside everywhere is fine. There's one rust spot here, which I assume was from some sort of rock chip and was bare metal for a long time, but is rusting now. So I have to deal with that. It's still, as of right now, just surface rust, but I do not want that to get worse. The car is sitting on the stock suspension, so it's got quite a bit of a gap between the wheel and the rear quarter. My muffler is currently disconnected because I broke off a bolt on my exhaust flange right there. So I have to drill that one out or cut it off or some sort. But I don't really care because I like the amount of noise that it makes with the muffler delete. and it looks stock still, so I could kind of get away with it unless someone looks underneath the car and sees this. But it rattles around a little bit because when you hit bumps, it smacks into the other part of the exhaust. Let's see if I can. That's what happens occasionally, but it's not that loud when you're inside the car. The rockers are pretty decent on this side. I did notice that somebody wasn't very smart and decided to lift the car on the rocker right here. It was not in my ownership. It was like this previous to me buying the car. And yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, there's some sort of rocker guard material on there from the factory and it's broken off. But the front bumper pops out because it's broken here. Was not caused by me. I've yet to crash this or cause any damage to it myself. But yeah. So back to the motor. So I got this motor for $1,200 Canadian on Facebook Marketplace, and the he had just underneath this plastic here, there's compression numbers for each cylinder that he had marked, and I compression tested it, and it was actually higher numbers than he stated for each cylinder. So he must have just not cranked the car for long enough. But this engine is extremely healthy. Doesn't seem to burn any oil, and I overheated it because I didn't have a coolant hose connected back there, and you can see coolant on there still, but it is healthy still after overheating it. And I had it towed home and everything and dealt with it properly, so seems to be all right. Things I want to do to the car: repaint it, obviously. I want to get new wheels because these ones are trash. Do the little bit of rust repair that it needs. I want to get a new radio, and I want to have my subs installed in this car that I have for my other car. A couple other things, I don't know. I did the red badges on the interior and exterior, and I also put yellow fog lights on the car because the ones that the factory ones were smashed up and completely destroyed. So yeah, this is my old valve cover here for my other engine, and I've been sanding the entire thing down. I'm going to try to paint this thing red, get it nice powder coated, but I'm still not done sanding it all properly before I paint it. And this all needs to be, I think I'm gonna need to use a sandblaster for this. I don't know how else I'm gonna get that, but the material that comes on here from the factory is really peely and sucks. So hopefully I can deal with this relatively easily and then get that installed on there. I also, when I do that, I need to replace a stud on the camshaft cap, like the cap that holds the camshaft down, because I snapped the nut off of the top of it when I was tightening the valve cover back on. Stupidly. I was using a 1/4 inch ratchet and it just snapped, so I don't know how it snapped, but it must have been weak already. Not sure. I'm getting some shifter bushings for here because the car grinds second gear if you're not careful with it. And, well, if you're slamming first to second, it grinds, but if you're shifting normally, it does not. I did put shifter base bushings, like underneath the shifter, the Acuity metal ones. They're supposed to help stiffen up the shifts. It did make a slight noticeable difference, but it didn't really prevent any grinding or anything like that. Well, the car's warmed up, so it won't be any crazy loud cold start, but we're going to back her out of the garage now. Driving her. Started to drive one-handed. stop there for a second.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And the engine is out today. Hell yeah. That's a weird sight. Hell yeah. Alright, well we got half of our wiring harness onto the new engine, plugged into the sensors and stuff. I've got to fix one because the sensor got ripped off of the wire, of course. But other than that, swap over the intake accessories, taking the clutch and flywheel off here, putting them on there, getting the trans on that motor, connecting up all our coolant hoses, and then throwing her back up. Well, on there, and then up in there. Some serious fucking wrestling, but I got it. It was like way back there, and I was having to reef my arm down here. I had to bend this up to get my arm down enough. Ripped it off, and then just ripped the wire off the fucking wiring harness, because I don't even have any cutters with me. But this will do, sir. We've got the transmission mounted on the new engine. Hell yeah. Now we just need to get this shit on the subframe tomorrow, and then get her back up in the car, connect everything up, and she should be good to go. Check it out. Got the engine back in here. We just got to get it all bolted in and connect it up now. It's loud. I think you got an exhaust leak. So we got quite a bit done today. I put the exhaust back on. Right now we're trying to figure out what the issue is. I have a cylinder one misfire, but that's it. Everything else seems to be all right. We're trying to swap the injectors out, but this fuel rail's being a bitch and not wanting to come. I discovered the cylinder one misfire. We've got a broken wire. That's a good sign. I'm gonna go get a new connector today from Bucks, and we will get this swapped out. Thank you very much, this K24A, for its donation of its fuel injector connector. Looking minty. Same exact one as on my engine. The manifold looks very odd on this. Look how much fucking space there is on this car, though. Must be nice having an engine actually fit in the bay without having to remove everything around it. How's this? Oh, it's a fucking automatic. Garbage.